What's up, everybody? It's Billy here again, and today I'm going to be doing the technical analysis routine through Roku, and then I'll do Zoom right after. These are two of the more highly requested stocks that I got DM'd to do this next video on. If you'd like to do me, comment below what ticker you want to see me do on the next video. Please let me know. All right, so when you go through the technical analysis routine, just like the previous 5 or 6 videos we've done on this same exact routine, you start on the weekly. Let's just say you get the bigger time frame. You could do the monthly or yearly, I guess, but I just like to start on the weekly. But first thing I like to do is I always really like to look left to right real quick, and I like to grab resistances, turn support, because those are some of the most strong levels on the entire chart. I see another one right here. You have kind of a one emerging candle there, but strong resistance, strong resistance, strong resistance, and then we finally get some volume breakout right there before it pumped up. So now I can kind of zoom in above that, get towards closer price. And step one is marking emerging candles. These are areas of high volume in the candle as it moves up, or the top of the candle breaking into a new space. So I'm just marking the candles that are breaking into a new space. I'll leave the current candle alone. You can mark, I guess, the top of that if you really want to, but I'm just going to leave it alone. And then I move down to the daily, step two. Step two kind of involves drawing your trend lines and getting your emerging candles still in there. I'm not going to draw the trend line on this one. I'm going to wait till I get down to the 30-minute just because I liked what I saw earlier that I want to show all of you. So mark that line. That's on the daily. Let's mark that one. Let's mark that one. Let's mark that one. Because that's a high. That's a high. We already got that one. We can mark that one. And we can, I guess I'll mark it on the daily. Now let's color these a different color, so I know they are not from the weekly. The weekly will be green. I mean, the daily will be green, so we'll kind of leave it at that. And I think it was that one too. All right. So you can move down to the 4-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour, or 30-minute as your kind of third step. But the weekly and daily cover enough levels to where you almost don't need to have to go to any other time frame. So it's kind of just narrowing down a game plan and a trade plan going when you do move down to. So I like to just jump down to the 30-minute, but going through the 4-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour, you can go back through those and you can get a really good review on just going down the time frames. And that's what this system is about. It's about going through the time frames. So here, let's mark some more levels. Okay, wait. Trend line. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So I see the low of this time frame. And what I like so much about this time frame is that I'm getting 30-minute candles, but I'm getting the last 30 days. So I'm getting the entire month of the last month of price. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the low and I'm trying to find me another area where it'll touch, because I'm not trying to use current price as my trend line. I need to use an actual line. So I kind of want to move it right there, and I did that instead of putting it right here because that's pre-market. Price never really broke under that, so I'm just going to draw it kind of right there on where that day closed right there and this day began, because it was still an uptrend from right there. So retest, 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 retest. Almost getting another retest. Let's go ahead and draw another one. So I like this spot, and I like this spot right here because that's a very good spot. Resistance, resistance. So we have a pretty strong uptrend channel here on the 30-minute. Let's zoom in a little bit. So now what do we have? After going through step 1 through 3, we now have a pretty good game plan without really having to do much more. Other ones will be a little harder than this. Other times you'll be using more gaps. I know stocks like Netflix right now, like on their daily and weekly chart, they have a lot of gaps right now, so it's kind of hard to draw all that right now, but it's all about drawing those emerging candles. Those are the areas of very strong comfort. So once those are broken, you have pretty one-directional breakouts. Every time one of these levels are rejected or broken through, it's a pretty one-directional move. Anytime it's sticking around it, you'll see continuation. So what do we have right here? We have a strong uptrend channel. We have a good little resistance here. Let's zoom in a little more. We have good resistance here of the high. We're grabbing the meat of the bones too. You see, I didn't grab the wick. Now it is good to note that there could be a resistance there at 363.44 because that is the all-time high. But the more important breakout level would be right here because I have the meat of the bone. This is where the candle stopped here. You have nothing but resistance right there. All the candle bodies are up against that. So that's the level we're looking to break. You can use that as the first target though if you want. You can use this as a first target. Very much so. And then even 365 for your psychological level, 366, 367, 370, and so on. Below, what are we looking for below on a game plan? So we have our above game plan. What happens when the price breaks below? So now we're kind of looking at this trend line because this is the next one under. So that'd be our game plan. We're looking for above 360.55, below 354.40. See, the big thing though with this, and this is why I love going through the time frames really quick and using this little routine. So let's say pre-market's like right here. Let's just say pre-market's like this, because that'd be playable. This would be our new play. Break above here, that's our first target. Break below here, that's our first target. So you can almost use that in a more aggressive manner as well if you'd like, for the pre-market analysis as well. But this is all depending to if price doesn't gap up or down overnight or any of that or before market open. So that's Roku. I really hope you guys enjoyed that little thorough kind of breakdown of the little technical analysis routine I go through a lot. I do that a lot quicker on my own, but I'm really glad to help slow it down and break it down with you guys. You guys see me do this all the time in voice chat, so it's nothing different than that. Just every chart's a little different, so every method it will be a little different. But it all kind of aligns the same. We're still using the emerging candles, the trend lines. We're still using all that. I don't have a single indicator on my screen. We're just going through price action using supply and demand zones. So let's go check out Zoom now. So let's go to the weekly. I was going through a few other charts, and I really wanted to do Zoom because it's one of those weird ones that I think people would struggle with. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Some of them are just weird charts. This happens to be one of those weird ones. So right now, step 1, marking emerging candles. And you guys can zoom in too if you really want to get 100% on it. Just trying to give you guys a really good picture. I think I like that. I got all the emerging candles here on the left. There's no need to really drag this or to draw this one. This would be a good future line for breakout. So you don't have to call that an emerging candle. You can call it just an area of resistance because it's not really the best resistance, but I like it because you had rising sellers to bring you down, and then you had continuation buyers to keep taking price down because you had lowering buyers. Then you had another breakout in sellers against that. So we had a gap up here, and then it went down. So that looks really good to continue down, in which it did so. You had dropping sellers to a support. So we're kind of in a range right here where buyers slowed up to here, sellers slowed up to here. So now we're kind of in between that range. And that's just going off the weekly volume. So let me delete those two trend lines. We can continue on the daily. All right, so now we're on the daily. Let me change the color of these every time I mark. So that's I mark that one. We'll make that one green. That's for daily. Let's mark this one. I really like that because it also lines up on the right a little bit. We don't have to mark that one. It's pretty close to a very important resistance. We can mark that one. That's a strong resistance as a 3-bar play broke out on the daily. We got all that situated. We can mark this one. It's a good resistance as well. New candle pushing up. So we got all the ones above it. We can mark this, I guess, just so we have a good level below. That is pretty far below. I have not been marking this gap range because it's so large, but we do need to recognize that what I just went over on the weekly time frame, you know how I was saying the buyers were slowing up here and the sellers were slowing down here, we're kind of in that gap range, so that's why. But I have not been marking that as super important. It is very important, but it's not like 100% on my to-do list. Yeah, it's going to fill the gap to here. Like, I do expect Roku to break down and catch to 325 over time, or not Roku, sorry, Zoom. I do expect to see this, but it's not going to happen if this isn't broken. So we're kind of watching for the gap fill below, which is why I wanted to cover the volume and then cover why we saw that volume, which is why. It's because there's a huge gap range there. So there's, of course, going to be very important levels on both sides. So we're kind of watching the break there, as well as if you mark this little reversal candle here. Let me mark that green. And then we'll go down to the 30-minute, which, hold up. Let's go down to the 4-hour. So what do you have here on the 4-hour? The only thing, all right, so let's talk below first because I really want to cover that because this is a very bearish-looking pattern on a very, very strong support. It's not quite a head and shoulders, but as you can see, it's very relative to one. The way the price is acting as it goes up, rejects hard, goes up, doing that. And we kind of went up, down. So we're kind of sitting here on a very, 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 very strong support. So right here, if we were to break 370.20s, my target is 350s. Below 350s is those 325s. That's that bottom of the gap range we were just talking about. So these are going to be the big plays over the next couple weeks for Zoom. I personally believe if COVID does start to go away and the vaccines do their job, and maybe even at a better level, they do amazing. I think Zoom will end up being one of the most shorted stocks of next year or even the year after. But it'll have its moments as COVID does hit us here and there, because Zoom is still very important, but I think it's also very important to realize Zoom's not the only person that do what they do. They're not the only company that do this, so that's a good thing from like a fundamental standpoint. But that's what we're watching for the below. For the above, of course, you didn't see me mark a whole lot of really good levels here yet, so that's what we're moving down for. 2 hour, 1 hour, whatever you. I just prefer the 30 minutes. One of my favorites. So what do we see here? We have a drop, kind of consolidate, pick up. That was that high that we saw. Then we had that big drop thanks to earnings. Now we had some consolidation in between here. Another drop, caught that very important 383. Had a little bit of consolidation, push up. Failed to push much higher during the market at this level, about the 420s. I remember actually trying to long to that level, and that was our target because we weren't quite sure if it was going to continue up. So I'm glad we took profits, but Zoom clearly using this level as a very strong resistance. This will be the recovery level over time. And then I also wanted to mark this because I saw this was a very strong support, both on the after the drop, and then you had it pick up from here. Sellers tried to take it under, bulls said no. Then we stuck in that range, and then this is kind of where we retested before we broke lower. So I wanted to keep this line marked. It's a very important line. That was just kind of an exchange in hands. You saw sellers, then you saw it kind of chill, then you had sellers take another control. So it was a really big exchange there. The very important support that we already had from, I think the weekly was already here at 383.60, so that's a very important level. And then it was used kind of as continuation support before it ended up dropping, as you can see here if I zoom in here. But you kind of had, you had continuation go there, then it dropped. So now we're kind of looking at, is it going to hold this 370? So now we're kind of playing this is back to that pre-market I was telling you guys about. So let's say pre-market was in between here and here. Okay, let's say pre-market stayed that way. Well, our first break's going to be here, of course. So that's going to be our first target. And then our second target would be this line. For the below, it's the same thing. It's to that 370. That's our first target. And then so on and so on, like you guys saw me go through on the daily and weekly. There's levels below. Very drastic drop below if it does break this 370, in my opinion. And doesn't hold that other level that you guys saw me draw, this one. If it doesn't end up holding above the 350s, I think Zoom could become very bearish to at least the 320s. So keep a big eye on that one, of course. And then for the above side, we're watching for the break and recovery, because you guys just saw it went up so high, but now it's dropping. So now it's kind of in recovery mode if it is going to continue up. I think this is a very healthy pullback. It was very drastic after earnings, of course, but I think this is a very healthy pullback percent-wise, because even if you take it from the daily, how much of this move was this? This didn't come back down and go down to 50 again. Like, it's still up here above the 300. It's almost at 400 still, so still playable for recovery. But I'm expecting it to break below. I'm not going to get biased. We're going to play these levels. But you'll see me cover those same levels that I just covered here over time as the price moves around, either whether it drops or recovers. It'll be utilizing these levels you just saw me draw. So if you guys want to go back through your charts and kind of copy with me or go through it yourself and then hit me back in the DMs or something on YouTube and let me know, how did it work for you, then we can definitely cover that. But I hope this video helped anyone with their charting practice. It's just a really good system. I think it's very simple and very effective. These levels are used in every single market, so you guys can definitely utilize these price action strategies we hand out, whether it's BB system, the zones, the technical analysis routine. It's all price action. It's just being able to read it, because volume especially is something I think that I'll cover more and a lot more, which you guys already hear me ramble about volume every day, but I'll continue to do so because it is the most important indicator on the chart. Pretty much it's speaking to us. We just have to learn how to hear it and understand it. So I hope this video helped anyone. Please leave a like and comment. Make sure to comment below about what tickers you guys would like to see me do in the next technical analysis routine, and I'll get on it. Thank you.